ask you, like, what's a concrete change or improvement you've seen in yourself, in your life, since beginning to work with me? And how has it made a difference in your everyday life?
Hmm. I think there's just like so many improvements.
Tell us them all.
Yeah. So, okay, so let's go for one. So I'm in burlesque again. It came back into my life again. And at first I was like, what am I doing? Am I just racing to do this thing?
Oh, sorry,
And
say that again. I think I didn't hear
I'm
the beginning.
I'm in burlesque.
Oh, you okay? Burlesque, right?
I started doing burlesque again, and this has been, a couple years now since I've actually performed. And when I performed before, there was a lot, again, performing, right? I was trying to jump over the kind of all this stuff, and it was a disaster sometimes. I would have like really, really intense like body reactions before and after a performance, and it wasn't fun after a certain point. And then I was like, well, maybe there's something wrong with me. Maybe I'm just like not feminine enough. All the things started coming through. And since doing this work, I, again came back into burlesque. And what I've noticed is just so much more self ownership. I noticed like I was picking my acts based on like how I felt. Like before, I was like, I'm gonna do this 18-minute, what was I doing? Like this long, these long acts that were like not my feeling. And I just think because I'm like, I don't know if I would have done. I mean, I have an excellent teacher in burlesque. Egypt Black Nile is my teacher, but I also don't think I would have taken in her teaching if I hadn't done this work. We're
Mm.
literally like I picked first I was going to do two songs. One song was about like the stop and start cycle that we find ourselves in our bodies, and like the kind of spinning up down, right, that happens. And I was going to do another song when I burst out of my shell, and I realized I'm not ready to burst out of my shell just yet.
Mm.
Years ago I would have tried to just force it, like, no, I'm doing that, I'm going to reveal myself. I was like, I'm going to reveal myself, but I'm not ready for the butterfly opening yet. And that was just so telling of like how far I've come. I didn't push it, and it felt so good to me. So I think a big difference is I'm focusing on what feels good rather than what looks good. I feel like that I don't see my problems or my feelings as wrong. Like I'm like, oh, I can sense where I'm at. Am I feeling a little bit congested emotionally? Am I feeling kind of like in a tizzy, and not saying that one is bad or one is good. Um, I feel like just kind of a base level. Like I think before this work, I was very doing this, and I had never. I think the pandemic brought that out. Honestly, like before, I was, even though maybe I was like this, bigger dips. But then during the pandemic, it was like up and down, up and down. I'm like, what is going on? I have not been having those up and down movements. Like I realized, I was like, oh my gosh, I don't. When was the last time I had one of those like the sharp movements? I don't remember. And it's like I was forcing it. It's like I was like, I'm gonna get myself out. I think before I was, my mind was like, I need to get out of this cycle. I think it naturally was like, yeah, I do have days or times, but it's not as sharp as it was before.
Mm.
And it's like weird because I'm like, it's not gonna go, oh, on November 5th, I stopped I don't know what day it was, but I do know that I was like, when have I had one of those like sharp? I can't remember.
Mm.
Um, I feel like and I feel like when I do dance, I'm with my body a lot more. I think I would go, it was sometimes dancing was like an escape, for the present moment. I feel like now it's a meeting of the present moment. It's a
Oh.
meeting of what my body can do. It's like I just feel more connected, and just more, in a concrete way, like compassionate, not wanting to like truly being like, I'm not going to fix anybody. And that's like bringing that mentality I have for myself to other people and just kind of seeing certain things, like I know like for the last call I brought in like an experience I had with a coach and how before I don't think I would have trusted myself. I would have been like, oh, Hannah, you're just in resistance, there's something wrong with you. But having the tools of this practice and having a space to really be like to articulate that made me like I decided not to work with this person anymore. Not like that they're bad. I gained a lot from this coach, but I realized that there was something that was not, we could not meet. And I didn't have to make them bad and I had to make myself bad. I just was like, oh, I'm acknowledging that. And that just that acknowledgement and that trust, like just like a really deep self-trust is, I think, it's deepening where I'm like, oh, I can trust myself. It doesn't mean that I have to act on it. Doesn't mean that I have to like, tell everyone what they should do, but just be like, this thing is here. Interesting. Like I feel like there's a way that I can hold these things. And also another thing is just like with my sexuality journey, kind of seeing where I'm at. And I think before it was so like, again, intellectual, but then I realized like, if I'm saying that, I have this theory about learning to move through life like it's a female orgasm, like female orgasm is so like, it's both like not as hard sometimes as people make it out to be. It's like, just please pay attention to the clitoris. I mean, it's like for 70% of people, that's kind of like the gist, but it's also this way of being with the movement. So if you're with the movement at the whole time, it's not just the movement that's here or here. It's like being with it all. So I was like, okay, if wherever I'm at with my sexual journey, there's something wrong, knowing that like, I think I was so becoming over reliant on performance and on like looking sexual, be like showcasing sexuality and again, not connected to my entire being. And then now with this work, I feel like I have a permission, I have an opening to respect myself as a sexual being, no matter what I feel like, no matter where I'm at in my journey. And not having to perform something, not having to like force myself into certain like movements, but just to kind of see like what's naturally coming. And I'm seeing that, like I'm literally sometimes like how I'm always like moving my hands like this now. I don't know if that's like a mermaid thing, but like literally like it's natural. Like it's very natural. I'm being with that. And like, yeah, I just think that before this work, there was a lot of top down, me trying to kind of control from here. And now I feel like it's like a bottoming up, it's like the opposite. And it's funny because it kind of looks like a vagina or a pussy or whatever, but it's like a bottoming, it's like coming from this, not like the knowledge is coming from a different place and I'm acting on that. Yeah, I'm like, oh, what's my body saying? And then also I'm looking at my life, like, what's my life saying right now? Right. How can I be with that instead of trying to force my agenda on this thing? And my life has been a kind of like, again, like I said, like the jello. I know things are moving, but there's still like a stillness there, and being able to be like, and that's okay. I don't have to break open the things in the jello and pry it out, right? It's like, it's in the jello. It's there. I know it's there. And I'm just going to be with it.